Hey, what's up everyone? Danny Lightning back with another CSR2 video. So today we're going to talk about needle kickback on your tachometer over here. Alright, sometimes you get a perfect start and all of a sudden your needle kicks way back and your car runs a really crappy time. Well, we're going to talk about how to fix that. And there's really two things, so I'm going to go ahead and put this on my tuning playlist and probably my CSR2 guide/tutorial playlist as well. Now, when you tune your tires, if you give the car too much grip, it often has a needle kickback on a perfect start. Now, some cars have a needle kickback no matter what you do, and there's a few rare cars where the kickback is actually a good thing and you want it, but most cars the kickback slows you down. So for example, let's go ahead and try and get a perfect start on this car and see what happens. This one should get the kickback and you do not want it on this car. So we need to do something to avoid that. Okay, so let's do a run where we get the kickback and a run without the kickback. And then we're going to talk about the other option as to not get the kickback. All right, so here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. Kickback, you see that? We don't want that. That's going to make our car run slower. Now, like I said, there are a few cars like the Camaro and some other ones where that kickback is needed to get the best time. But on the majority of cars, when you get the kickback, you either need to adjust your shift pattern a little bit, or you're going to need to retune your tires. All right, there we got a 10.846. Now let's go ahead and do another one of these without the kickback. So normally I don't retune my tires, and instead of doing that, what I try to do is launch the car somewhere between 4,000 and 5,000 RPMs here, just a little bit before the green. Okay, instead of getting it in the green, make sure it launches just a little bit before the green, and that fixes the kickback issue, and your car should run a much better time. So kind of like this. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, that's pretty much all there is to it, guys. Let's go ahead and see what the car ran this time. It should run a much better time. Perfect starts are not always the best option. Some cars you want to get perfect starts, some cars you don't. Others, if you do, you get a kickback. The game's kind of all wacky as far as the tuning and stuff. So there we ran more than 1/10 of a second faster by not getting a perfect start, okay? So on this car, I do have my tires on 8 PSI, which means it's got as much grip as possible. Now, if I were to come up here and do maybe something like this, all right, I am going to lose some Evo points. I mean, I actually gained some time on the dyno. But adjusting the tires may or may not fix the problem depending on the car. Some cars are always going to do that no matter what. Some of them you just need to retune the tires. But for the most part, I don't mess with the tires. I just leave it. If that's giving me the highest Evo and a really good dyno time, generally I just leave the kickback and don't get the perfect start. That's what works best for me. All right, for example, this car gets a kickback every single time, and on this car, you actually want it to happen. It runs a much faster time with the kickback. I know it's weird, but hey, all cars are designed differently on this game, and they make them wacky and weird intentionally. Some cars got really weird shift patterns, and other cars got really normal shift patterns. 3, 2, 1, go. See that kickback? All right, on this car, that's the best thing you could ever do. And this car should run like a 7.217 if you get a perfect run on it. And I've actually hit the world record time on this car 2 or 3 times. There I got a 7.229. So I've hit it a couple times and I always get close to it. Now let's go ahead and run this one without the kickback and see what happens. So you might want to test your cars. If you notice your car is getting a kickback, this is what you do. Do one run with the kickback. Do another one where you launch it a little bit early, okay? So on this one, I want the launch to be around 7 RPMs instead of 6. And that should keep so I don't have a kickback, okay? So you want to test it both ways and see which one runs the faster time if you notice your car is getting a kickback. 3, 2, 1, go. Well, I didn't quite hit 7 RPMs. That was a little bit late. So a late or an early start will actually fix the kickback issues on a car. Okay, which one's better? Well, that really depends. So there we got a 7.470. Look how much slower that was. Look how much slower that was. Let's try that again with a I'll let go of the gas a little later to try and start on the other side of the tachometer this time. All right, so that time we were about 4.5 RPM, somewhere in here on this. This time we want to be somewhere around here to see if that was a faster or a slower time. So let's try this, all right? 3, 2, 1, go. Anyways, something like that. And yeah, this car only has 3 gears, which is really nice. 3 gears is super nice, guys. So there we got 7.588. So that was even slower. I did kind of a shift early there. I kind of messed it up, but this gives you guys the idea of what to do. Now, if you look at my Bugatti Cento here, to run the fastest time possible on this car, you want the tires to be down at 8 psi, but it's very hard not to get the kickback on this car. So on this car, instead of doing the late start or the early start, instead of the perfect start, I choose to put the tires around 11 psi. The car does run just a little bit slower, okay? It does run a little bit slower, but I don't get that kickback. The kickback makes it run much slower than it does when I hit the tires at 11 psi. So this is one of the few cars where I do adjust the tires to get rid of the kickback. All right. On other cars, I just changed where I start. Now this is one of those cars where if you get a perfect start, it's probably the worst thing in the world. If you don't get your start just right when trying to get a perfect on this guy, you have wheel spin that destroys your time and makes it awful. So on this car, I try to make sure I launch the needle somewhere between 7 and 8 RPMs. So let's go ahead and try to launch this one with the wheel spin and see what happens. Alright, so let's go ahead and give this one a start and see if we can get the wheel spin that you do not want so you can see what happens. So this method not only works great for the kickback, but it also helps get rid of wheel spin on some cars, alright? Some cars you want the wheel spin. It's kind of weird in this game, but if you notice the wheel spin slows you down, this method also works. So watch this, guys. Let's get the perfect start. Okay, so let's do a start where we get that wheel spin. Right there, alright? Look, I'm shifting to third, fourth. Oh, it didn't do anything until I got in the 4th gear, guys. That really messed me up. That wheel spin is the worst thing that can ever happen on this car. A lot of people get this car and they never drive it because they can't figure out how to stop the wheel spin. There I got an 8.0 on the dyno time, or on the run with a 7.988. So you're not going to beat your dyno. This car is a major dyno destroyer, but if you get that wheel spin, bad things happen, okay? Bad things happen. The car doesn't shift right. You get that horrible wheel spin. So let's go ahead and do one more without the wheel spin and see what happens. This time we're going to try and launch it with the RPM needle around 7,000 RPMs. 3, 2, 1, go. Second, third, fourth. I think I messed up the shift pattern on this one, but that's okay. You'll see it runs much faster. I didn't hit my nitrous on the right gear, but that's alright. It's not about showing you the proper shift patterns on this video. It's just about avoiding the wheel spin and avoiding the kickbacks that you don't want. There we got a 7.830. I probably could have ran a 7.7 on this guy if I would have got my shift pattern just right, which I didn't. But that's, almost, 2-3 tenths of a second difference you can get just by avoiding that wheel spin on this car. So anyways, I think that wraps this video up, guys. Hope this helps. I will put this on my tuning playlist and my CSR2 guide/tutorial playlist as well. You all have a great day. Please remember to like and subscribe. Also, alright, hit that little bell notification and set those notifications to all if you don't want to miss any of my uploads. That way, you don't miss out on any good information on how to play the game or any update news or anything like that. Alright? Catch y'all later. Thanks for watching and see ya.